Mortal Kombat 2, sorry about Mortal Kombat 1. Huh, how do you like that? So, they fixed it, I guess would be the takeaway. Yeah, gotta be honest, gang, I kinda had to toss out a lot of my pregame jokes and notes here, not to pull back the curtain on the process too much or anything. But after the first one of these, 5 years ago? Holy shit. Yeah, so after part 1 sucked, and, after literally every attempt at Mortal Kombat stuff, after the first still pretty awesome 1995 movie, and to be clear, it not only sucked, but sucked in a fashion that suggested they were going down like a checklist of all the ways big-budget tentpole franchise IP movies, particularly ones released within the last decade by Warner Brothers, have been sucking for a while and deciding to suck the most out of all of them.
This sucks more than anything that has ever sucked before.
Like, it was actually kind of impressive seeing a movie make every wrong decision, from the overly self-serious tone, drab to saturated gritty aesthetic, draggy, overplotted storytelling, disappearing up its own ass about mystery box, lore, and MacGuffins, and trying to wrap the whole thing around a new-for-the-movies audience POV protagonist whose story felt less like an arc than watching a cloud of studio notes get blown around the writer's room by a light breeze. And it was also really bad-looking overall, right? And look, I know they only gave him like $55 million to do that movie, and that's peanuts for theatrical these days. Like, Amazon is spending something like $200 million on fucking He-Man, just saying. So I want to be forgiven, but that movie looked like ass, even on a curve. And the thing is, Mortal Kombat is innately a B-movie junk food premise, right? It's karate fights in a Halloween store. It's going to be a certain amount of stupid and probably belongs at a certain baseline of cheap and cheesy. That's okay. That's its level. It's a Magic Ninja decapitation hat movie, but it's gotta look cool and not be boring. So this time they made it look good, and it's not boring. So it's better.
Ain't so fucking hard.
Yeah, I wish it was more complicated than that, but it really does feel like they finally looked at one of these and said, okay, this is about the universe making people do one-on-one fights to determine whether good or evil gets to run the world for however long, and even if it did take a first act to introduce a concept like this is part 2, so we're just not doing that. Here's your handful of good guys, here's your handful of bad guys, here's your 2 or 3 new people who can have protagonist arcs. Every 5 to 10 minutes, people are just going to get zapped off in pairs to do a fight scene, and then they're going to do a fight scene until we're all out of fight scenes to do. And those fight scenes are good fight scenes. Like, it feels weird that the bar is so often on the fucking floor for that in Western movies, and I'm not one of those action fans who thinks every martial art movie should only ever be blocked, shot, and cut like Long Take Shaw Brothers or Single Cam Hong Kong style, but I do think Mortal Kombat probably should. And most of the time, this one is. Long takes, good choreography on what look like physical sets, and good stunt fighters putting in serious work where you can see what's supposed to be happening, grasp the choreography of the scene. It is genuinely impressive, and more impressive because, and I need it understood that I mean the following here in entirely complimentary terms, it doesn't look like they spent that much more money this time. There's like 2 big throwing each other around the village square fights that are very much, hey, that there is one sturdy soundstage and at least 2 guys whooping each other's ass in front of a screensaver fights that all look fucking great, and it's basically because, yeah, you're not gonna fool me that it's fake, but I can tell where the money went, and it went where it needed to go. The whole big sequence where 2 guys are fighting in front of a vortex or whatever, and the background keeps flipping from blue to red depending on which side's winning. Like, it looks cool as hell. I don't need the matte composite to look 100%. It looks sick, and it's gonna look even sicker as the demo loop on all the flat screen displays at Costco in like 8 months. Obviously, I'm not gonna turn around and say that simply delivering a solid rotation of good-looking fight sequences and cutting almost all of the excess fat is enough to make Mortal Kombat 2 something like a great film, or even that it's entirely bereft of its own problems. Chiefly that most of its returning characters are still even thinner than their video game counterparts, and neither the basic storyline, the rules of the tournament, or even the vague basics of how anyone's powers are supposed to work, as in which magic energy weapon blasts holes through people versus just bruising them, and why and who actually dies from having holes blasted through them, who can and can't take a 1,000-pound warhammer to the face and simply not die from it, why is fire sometimes wind and also a solid, that kind of thing. Yeah, I know it comes with the territory, but still, and well, we've gotten much better at the character stuff, especially with the new for the sequel people, not necessarily everybody still, like put another checkmark for a Mortal Kombat project that says, hey, Sindel seems like she should be interesting. She won't be, though. Also, while I do appreciate the sentiment behind the obvious level of course correction on display here, there's still at least one beat near the middle that feels a bit too much like pandering to people who overhated specific parts of the last one, to the point where it borders on being mean-spirited. Like, it fits thematically and I wasn't mad about it, but I don't know if it was necessary. On the other hand, and this was actually the best sort of early surprise for me, they not only made a better movie than the first time out, they did it better than they've been selling, if that makes sense. See, I don't really know that I'm shocking anyone by telling them that this one's better in as much as it goes straight to the fights and more fights, embraces the more outsized absurdity of the games, etc. They've basically been marketing this as "we know we fucked up last time" apology tour, mostly centered on having cast fan-favorite actor Karl Urban as fan-favorite and previously absent character Johnny Cage, here somewhat ingeniously reimagined as this over-the-hill 90s action star gone to seed who refuses the call to action but then does because in this new version you don't really get a choice about that, which saves time. Anyway, Urban is actually unsurprisingly inspired casting as this Tom Cruise, Van Damme, Roadhouse-era Swayze hybrid who gets dropped in the middle of all the kung fu fantasy business to basically do the whole, wait, is this real? Are those fireballs? Is that guy a monster? I didn't sign up for this. Comedy relief, reluctant dumb guy hero routine, and what the movie openly acknowledges is an Ouroboros of an homage to Mortal Kombat's already liberal borrowing from Big Trouble in Little China. And if you've seen the film's marketing, it would be easy to assume that he just was the whole movie, a safe and probably not unwise overcorrection to negative fan reactions to the first one. Hey, we heard you didn't like the new protagonist, so this time, please enjoy another riff on Top Gun Maverick, wherein a gracefully aging Gen Xer proves that 50-year-olds can still be ass-kicking handsome badasses that put all these damn kids in their place because this game came out in 1992. So the biggest fans who have formative memories about that probably also have alimony payments and second hips, and hey, don't they want to feel some empowerment fantasies too, which, you know, doesn't sound like a bad idea, but also feels a little easy and predictable even for a movie like this. But instead, while that general middle-aged washout who can still kick ass is sort of the background radiation thing for Cage, he mostly gets a more traditional, I don't want to be the guy, okay, I guess I'll be the guy, basically decent dude arc, helped along by the general story setup here being structured with, no, we're doing this now, fight as its main plot mechanic, and also the film finally remembering that fighting tournament movies let you do multiple parallel protagonist storylines and just doing that. So, in spite of the ubiquitous marketing, Urban's Cage is really more like the B-story protagonist. Well, hey, that was also probably on purpose, while the main story hero actually turns out to be Adeline Rudolph as Kitana. Yeah, how about that? Somebody finally looked at their character cast for this and said, hey, shouldn't this person with the direct semi-filial connection to the main villain who's also trying to get revenge on the main villain, like the princess with the claim on the front, shouldn't she be like the main character here? So the degree to which there's a narrative going on, they've kind of borrowed it from The Empire Strikes Back, where you split your good guys between one main, mostly serious protagonist who goes off and solves things and has to confront the main threat eventually, while all the more colorful secondary characters quest around and get into misadventures until Act 3. And look, if your assignment is to make a part 2 that's better than a first one, and you're gonna steal, you might as well steal from that. And yeah, it works. I had a really good time with this. So I can't really say it's something special or even necessarily good, but I did have fun. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. I sincerely enjoyed it. It has problems, but not big ones. Call it a strong 7 out of 10. I'm as surprised as you are.